107.5 FM WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. How's everyone doing? It's time here on Way Left of the Dial. Going to be a cool show today. So I'll be broadcasting my interview with Das Brujos, this really cool two-man band out of Graz, Austria, Defenders of the Jam. They play these epic-esque Sabbath instrumentals, just guitar and drums. They never play the same song twice. A whole host of really cool recordings to get into. They're available, and we'll talk about how they're available a little bit later in the show. So the boys are from Graz, Austria, town I've been to, or city I've been to a couple times in my business travels. So it'd be cool. We've got about 40 minutes worth of interview with Xavier and Armin from the band and a whole bunch of their songs for today. So let's just kick things off. This is a song called One, the Roman numeral 1, from the record Roman numeral 2 by Das Brujos. So we're going to start the kick off the interview portion of the show. So the interview is about 40 minutes long. I've got it broken up into about two 20-minute segments. Das Brujos is from Graz, Austria. They're currently on the Swamp Records label. For fans of the show, I've interviewed Fuzzy, who runs the Swamp. Pretty cool dude. The band consists of Xavier, who plays drums and does a lot of the post-production work, and Armin, who plays a mean guitar. So sit back and enjoy. This is my interview with Das Brujos.
How are you guys doing?
Good. And you? Excellent.
Yeah, great. It's good to see you.
It's nice to see you finally.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. Excellent. Well, listen, I think Tom's going to do the interview and I'm just going to record it. So, in fact, I think what I'll do is I'll mute my microphone because I got a guy that's going to come bang on my door any second now. So I'll just mute it, and then, like I said, towards the end we can chat some more, and then I'll record everything, and then Tom's going to get the audio afterwards to do whatever you're doing. Okay, so I'll touch back with you guys at the end.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
How is the audio recording from our end? By the way, can you hear us fine as well?
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Okay, perfect.
I'm doing this from an iPad. In the bathroom.
We are doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, in the bathroom of the radio station studio here. So, well, anyway, welcome to the show. I'm Tom, and I thought it was really weird how I kind of got into you guys. So I had signed up for the SWAT crew and collection, through Fuzzy, and so I have this thing about I have to own everything, right? So I'm downloading everything in the collection, and so as I'm downloading it, it's like, man, that's a lot of records by Das Brujos. So I just took a quick look, and it's like Graz, Austria, and I'm like, I've traveled there for work a couple times, so it's like, and that's a cool place actually. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna invest some time into your music, and it's like, man, it just hit exactly what I was into, what I've been into for a long time, in kind of a Black Sabbath-esque jam thing. So why don't you introduce yourself to the show and tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Okay. You want to begin?
No, Xavi, you're the main man.
Well, we are the same man. Yeah, we are a duo from Graz. I'm Xavier, and he's Amin. We are Dos Brujos since 2016, when we began jamming together in here. It's not very big, but it's nice.
So is that the lair?
Yeah, this is it. Okay. Well, at least some part of it.
It's one corner.
There are other corners. We can turn that out and then, and you can have a look. Yeah, we began playing actually here in front of us. There's another room. It's twice the size of this. We began there when we were sharing with another band, and then in 2018, in the summer 2018, I think it was, we decided to rent a smaller one for us only, because then we didn't have to mount the drums and all the micros and all of the things. And thing grew. We have lots of things now here. In the beginning, we were just doing a recording with a hand recording.
Yeah. Right.
And then the thing grew.
So the whole idea of you meet up on a fairly regular basis and you just jam, right? So how did you come to the realization that's what you want to do?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, in the very beginning, first of all, I kind of met Xavi because there was a platform called bandsuche.at back in the day. So bandsearch.at, there was a homepage, and I put like a little note on there saying, yeah, guitarist in Graz looking for some guys and so on. And then Xavi wrote me a message, and we went for a beer, and yeah, I thought, yeah, nice guy, let's meet up. And then at the very beginning we were 3 guys actually. So it was me and we had another guitarist, and then Xavi on the drums, obviously. And this other guy, he was like in between jobs and wasn't in Graz for very long after that. So he had to leave then, and then it was just the 2 of us. And with this jam thing, I think that was also your idea for the most part.
Yeah, I had very clear what I wanted to do since years in Spain. Before I moved to Graz, I'm from Spain, near Barcelona. And actually, I had, since a long time, before I moved here, 2013, and since 3 or 4 years, I wanted to do some kind of jam project. But there I did not find anyone. And then I moved here. And then I said, yeah, I will use this opportunity to start in a new place to start a project like this. And then I put this ad in there, in this portal. And then before Amin, he was the third guitarist. So the third member, I was a guitarist. And I began with him before those Brujos, 1 year before. And then we met Amin too in the portal. And then we were maybe 3 or 4 months, we were a trio as Dos Brujos. And then the other tres brujos. That's true. In the beginning, there was tres brujos, and then the other guy decided to move in the mountains here in Austria. It was too far to come every week here, so he said that he could not do it, and we said, yeah, okay, then we will change the name to Dos Brujos because we will keep going as a duo. And yeah, actually, the expectations were in the beginning they were always just to jam. They still just to jam, but of course, in the beginning, they were more kind of, we were getting used to know each other, and the thing grew together with us. So we began just recording with a tape recording, and then I began to get into this mixing production thing as a hobby. And then I was improving all this material we have here, and slowly it grew.
So you self-produce all your own stuff. You do all your own mixing and stuff like that. So one of the things I read was you said you only do a song one time, right? So when I read that, I get, so you guys you start playing, and then however it comes out is how it comes out, right? And do you record it and it's off to the masses with it, right?
Yeah, it's a bit different. Our process of doing the music is a bit different than the others. The other ones spend months creating some pieces of songs, music and arrangements. We do it upside down. We just record the things. The jams we do, and then with the time I mix it, and we use now at the moment 14 micros, and then I work with this material, and I have to say that most of it, I would say 90% is what it's here, and then this 10% I do a little bit of editing when there are some beeps from the guitar or peeps from the digital things, or some little pop or some kind of cymbal that is doing something strange. And these things I actually fix, but the rest is kind of what comes.
So you meet like what, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, once a month? What's the schedule on that? Has the pandemic drove you guys to do it more or less?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, we have phases like, for example, now over the summer, we almost met every week, actually, apart from Xavi was on a holiday visiting his family in Spain for 3 weeks. But other than that, we met fairly frequently, but it always fluctuates. So, for example, last year I was for a year working on a job in Germany. And then we obviously only met, I think I was in Austria 2-3 times or so. And then I came to Graz and we met up then, but it was almost a little bit on hold, but we had so much pre-recorded material from the many jams that we did beforehand that Xavi just kept kind of going back to that and then kind of rearranging it into an actual album then afterwards, so that we bridged this gap from our old recordings for this 1 year, I suppose, or almost a year, and now we're back to meeting up fairly frequently again. And since it was only the two of us, it was actually quite okay during Corona times as well, because it would have been much more difficult, obviously, with this Corona situation if we had been a bigger band. So, these two people meeting up, that was always in the range of the possible, thankfully. Also, yeah.
So when you're gonna set up for a jam session, you're gonna do a jam session, do you have ideas in your head already when you go in? Just like, man, I was listening to Black Sabbath, Hole in the Sky, or something like that. I wanna do a variation on that theme today, or something like that. So you kind of think, today we're gonna do 20-minute long songs or shorter stuff. How does that work?
Yeah, usually it depends on what we were listening all the week. At home or in the car, I listen a lot of music in the car because for my job I move a lot with the car, so I listen a lot of music. And I mean too, and depends what we were listening that week. that we arrive here in a special mood. And then we say, yeah, weekend was listening black metal, and me too, maybe. Yeah, we can actually not do much. It's what comes in the mood, no? We were in this mood, it comes something like this. When we're more psychedelic, it comes something more psychedelic, but we don't really speak a lot about the thing. Sometimes the admin says, yeah, we can do something slower today. But it works 3 minutes, and then we just, it goes everywhere.
Yeah, so the arrangement really, basically I come by and plug in, and Xavi is usually here 20 minutes or so earlier, setting up the mics and so on. And then we practically, as Xavi said, we don't pre-arrange anything. We just say, yeah, let's start like with a slow one now to kind of warm up almost in a sense. And then we just go basically. But of course, as you mentioned, you have these influences, like what I was listening throughout the week. I don't know, more of a doom metal phase that I was listening to, or whatever comes up, and whatever I'm kind of practicing at home a little bit, and then kind of sticks. Then it naturally comes out again, I suppose. But we never pre-arrange anything among the two of us, really. It's just, and that's, I guess, what keeps it somewhat fresh and changing also. Of course, I don't know, me as a guitarist, I have like set patterns or set licks that I go back to in the standard mode. And then the other restriction, I think, with this jam band thing is that you can't come up with these intricate, complex time changes all of a sudden, because that would throw Xavi off, or if he were to do that. So we try to keep the mistakes down as much as possible, obviously. But on the other hand, they're bound to happen in this jam context anyway. So of course we have like worse days, better days, and so on, where it just feels right. It fluctuates a little bit, but that's also the beauty of it somehow.
I understand, so I like you, I listen to a lot of music in the car going back and forth to work and stuff like that. And then that'll influence how my radio shows, right? So for a while I was really into a lot of doom metal, and finally my son's like, you got to stop that, got to play something a little bit more positive, right? Can't be every Monday afternoon it's 2 hours of doom, right? So it's like, oh, okay, I get it, right? So your influences, what are your influences? So obviously, when I first heard you, I'm like, man, that's Black Sabbath, right? And I was trying to explain you guys to my friends. It's like they just play these epic Sabbath-esque jams, right? And it's variations on a theme. And so I would say, yeah, you're influenced by Sabbath. But who else is kind of driven your sound and your technique?
Wow. So many we can do a short list, but there's so many. Yeah, in the jam influence way, I'm personally very influenced from classics like Grateful Dead, for example. This I was very into it, still very into it. This is one of the bands that brought me to this mood of wanting to jam. And other kind of more modern bands like Earthless, for example, it's one another of they are from San Diego. Earthless. Very, very influential too, and there's a band from Denmark called Causa Sui.
Okay.
They are very jammy, very psychedelic, and of course, outside the jam, there's plenty of things. Lots of black metal, thrash metal, Dark Throne, Aura Noir, things like early Metallica, everything to death metal. I'm a big fan of old school death metal, for example. It's one of his niches, no?
I guess so, yeah.
And something like, it's actually metal, everything from Entombed to Paradise Lost to everything in between. Or lots of underground stuff, trashy things. Yeah.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of really good metal bands out there today. People say, "Oh, there's not good metal." There's lots of good metal, and it's really interesting. I think you don't have to look very far to find it. It's just it's everywhere. So I've shared your entire music collection with some of my friends, and like the guys that I hang around with, some of them are into metal, some of them are not into metal. But even the guys who aren't into metal, it's like, well, that's a unique way of approaching recording music in what you're doing. So the next obvious question of that is, so pre-pandemic, were you able to take what you do and go play it live somewhere? Is that what you aspire to do, or do you want to just stick to the jamming in the studio and sharing your music that way with the masses?
Yeah, actually, something we talk a few times about it. No, we actually like the way it's going. We are not for our familiar situations. We cannot tour or do long trips around.
Right.
So.
Right.
Apart from these, of course, we had a few opportunities. We had a few concerts planned before the pandemic. We had one here in Graz with Vinum Savati from Mexico. That I actually met a guy from a radio program too, that he wanted to put a few songs from us, and he said he was going to Austria, or maybe if he went to Graz, we could go with them. And actually he went. We had already a date and all, but then it was just the pandemic in this moment, and it was cancelled. But apart from these, a few here in Graz, a few options we had, but nothing big really. But we are not really searching for it too. We are kind of comfortable.
Well, that's okay too, right? So I actually did go. I went to YouTube yesterday. And watched a couple of your performances that the videos you put together in the studio there, which is actually pretty cool. Try to get a sense of how you play, and it's one thing to listen to it on an iPod or whatever, and which is really weird. I listen to a lot of music on an iPod, riding around on a bike, or plugged in my car or stuff like that. I even in they call it a man cave, but I have a room with all my stereo equipment in, right? And I just plug everything with an iPod and play it through the stereo system. So, but yeah, what you guys do is very, very, very unique. And so I was kind of curious. I think Fuzzy told me that you were the first band that he had signed with the Swamp. Is that true?
Yeah, actually we're one of the first, no? I think so. Maybe not the first, but maybe the third or something like this, or the second. I'm not so sure.
So how did you get hooked up with the Swamp?
Yeah, actually, Fuzzy was one of our first followers when we began.
Really?
To put our jams online. I remember that we were listening once. I thought, I was mixing a few jams and they sound quite good, no? And I told him, why don't we open a Bandcamp and we just put them there, and maybe somebody is interested, maybe not, but they don't sound bad at all. And then I put it. And then, with a few people, one of them was Fuzzy, that was into our jams from the beginning. And then I remember a few emails having with him that he was telling me maybe he wanted to begin a small label to support the underground. And if we would like to be there, and we talk about, perfect, that's exactly the vibes we like, no? We want to help the underground scene. And we were in since the beginning, and the Swamp just grew slowly, but with a constant ratio. Now it's quite, how many bands are there already? I don't know. 40 or something like that.
He's got a pretty good stable of bands. It's certainly an interesting cross section of music, right? So while it's metal oriented, it's certainly lots and lots of different genres of the metal. So you guys are on. So obviously, I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan. So you're on the Swamp Sabbath record, and I thought your take. When I looked at the song titles, I went, oh, Jam in the Sky. So that's Hole in the Sky, right? And I'm like, so how did you guys pick? Did you pick that song? Did Fuzzy say, hey, I think this one might be a good one for you? And your take on it as an instrumental jam is different, because there's a million Black Sabbath covers out there. Lots of really good ones, lots of terrible ones, right? And yours is pretty good.
Yeah, actually, when this idea came out, I asked him, what song can we do? Do you have any preference? And he was saying, no, we just propose a few, no? And then we pick one of these, no? And we were just thinking, Hole in the Sky is one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs. I'm a huge fan too from Sabbath. And he was my first option. But then we were talking, how do we approach this, no? Well, we are not used to the songs, less covers. Mm-hmm. And I say, why don't we do it our way, no? We just speak with a bit, with a riff, a bit the pattern, no? We kind of do a small kind of tribute approach, and then we just keep going, and what comes, those Brujos style comes, no? And that was really the approach. We did 3 tests, 3 jams in the sky. This in the album is the first jam in the sky, the first we tried.
Yeah.
From the third, maybe the other two was one in concrete that maybe was more polished. But we talk about it and we said, yeah, this is more the Los Brujos approach. We keep the first we try. And this was it. Actually, this was the first try we did. We did not, when we decided this song, I told them to listen a few times the riff at home. I will try the beats because I know the song very well too. I'll try a few times the beats and then we press rec and what comes is the cover. And pretty much it.
And then the idea was in the air also in the beginning when we talked about it. We pondered putting some vocals in actually, but then none of the two of us is the greatest singer, so we kind of quickly got rid of the idea and we were like, nah, let's just stick to our instrumental jams and then it's going to be fine.
about halfway through our show on a Friday morning, which is, look at the big brains on us, huh? Pretty impressive stuff. So, speaking of Das Brujos, we heard them doing Jam in the Sky from the Swamp Sabbath collection.
So what you do, or have you said that this is, you've got the formula here?
We try, it's an idea, it comes very often. And we try a few collaborations with singers in post-production, but here it's a bit complicated to record live vocals. But because they just mix in all the micros, so this bleed is complicated to mix it then. And that's one of the reasons that we actually never brought any singer here in live, apart from two little things that we tried, but were not spectacular. Usually the idea comes very often, but out of our limited resources, I'm not so sure if it would work. The idea is always there, and maybe someday, yes. So.
Yeah, actually, I don't know how it would work also in this jam context with having a singer there who would then have to do improv vocals and so on. Because I actually in the very beginning when I joined those Brujos for a couple of months, I was in another band, and there we also tried to have like some jam sessions, but it was two guitarists, a bassist, drummer, and then a singer, and they also wanted to go into this kind of Black Sabbath tribute direction, and the singer tried to do like jam vocals or vocals on the spot, and it didn't really work out that well. So they then had to go back to pre-arranged songs and stuff. So I'm not sure how it would work in this jam context. We never really tried it, but the guy would have to be on point really to come up with
right,
I suppose. But yeah, could be a possibility.
Yeah, maybe as a trio. Yeah. I have to say that more than 3 persons to jam in live recording, it's not so easy, because as a duo, it works very well because Amin and me just have a flow and we just keep going. With a third person, we tried it and it works. With time, it could work probably the same as we do now. But when we keep increasing the numbers, it's of course the understanding between the people, it grows too exponential and it's complicated. But there's people that do it. For example, there's a band called Banta from Budapest. We know, with the collaboration a few times. With them, the ballad sang in one of our Pax Deum song, for example. And they began a jam project more than they are 4. And it works very well for them because they have a kind of a violin and a synth player and it works good. But they are not two guitarists. That's the thing. Maybe with a synth player could work. It's another idea I have in mind, to introduce someone that takes care of the effects only.
Right. You were talking about being a Grateful Dead fan. So I saw them, man, it's been a long centuries ago. And I just didn't get it. Someone gave me a ticket and I went, okay, I'll go. So it was more interesting actually watching the crowd than it was the Grateful Dead themselves. Nothing against them. I mean, I respect what they do, but I just didn't understand it. I guess wasn't quite my cup of tea, right? But they're still playing. They're still, what is it now? They call it the Dead Company or the Dead something. Some of the members still are playing. I just so I hadn't seen live music in 18 months. So I saw my first live show a couple of weeks ago, which was it was an interesting experience after not seeing bands live, right? And it was pretty cool. I saw Primus I drove up to Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm curious. So you're from Spain. How did you wind up in Graz?
Yeah, my wife is from here.
Okay.
And then, we met actually in Romania when I was studying there a few years ago, 2006. And then she was there studying. And then we met there and, then we began a relation. And then we were in Spain a few years. But then, we decided to move here. And, we have 2 boys here. And that was one of the reasons why we moved in Austria. Well, the social system is a bit better than in Spain. And she wanted to have here a family. Mm-hmm. And so that moved back to she moved back to Graz and I came with
I've been to Romania. I wasn't a fan when I was spent a couple of days there. I was like, not okay, I'll go. So it was more interesting actually watching the crowd than it was the Grateful Dead themselves. You know, nothing against them. I mean, I respect what they do, but I just didn't understand it. I guess wasn't quite my cup of tea, right? You know, but they're still playing. They're still, you know, what is it now? They call it what, the Dead Company or the Dead something. Some of the members still are playing. I just so I hadn't seen live music in 18 months. So I saw my first live show a couple of weeks ago, which was it was an interesting experience after not seeing bands live, right? And it was pretty cool. I saw Primus I drove up to Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm curious. So you're from Spain. How did you wind up in Graz?
Yeah, my wife is from here.
Okay.
And then we met actually in Romania when I was studying there a few years ago, 2006. And then she was there to studying, and then we met there, and then we began a relation, and then we were in Spain a few years. But then we decided to move here, and we have two boys here, and that was one of the reasons why we moved in Austria. Well, the social system is a bit better than in Spain, and she wanted to have here a family, and so that we moved back to. Well, she moved back to Graz, and I came with.
I've been to Romania. I wasn't a fan when I was spent a couple of days there. Just like not my cup of tea. So it was. We were way out. I guess up by the Ukrainian border, and it was different. Just so very just different. That's the only way I can describe it. Just it wasn't what I was quite expecting. But Graz is cool. The first time I went, I was there for about 5 days, and we stayed out by the airport. We'd go downtown. I'm like, why are we staying at the airport? What are we, stupid? You know? And then the second time I went, again, we were there for about 5 days, and we stayed right downtown. And it was a neat place. What I thought was interesting was the city center. You walked into it, all the wires for the cable cars. It's like, man, look, that's a mess of wires, you know. It's like, but it's a neat place. We enjoyed our time. Hopefully I'll get to go back for work again at some point. So I had a whole list of questions, but you guys kind of got to them as we were talking. So one of the other things that I noticed is all the different artwork that, you know, on your stuff. So who does your artwork? Is that stuff that you contract out, or you guys just pick pictures and stuff like that? It's pretty neat. I think it's real appropriate for the music that you're presenting to people. I pick usually art that is without copyright, in the way of old paintings or sci-fi art that is from the. And then I work on it. We are very do-it-yourself fan. It was through a philosophy. It grew with us, and the more I learn, the more I put into. And this, we have a few, for example, a few logos. Yes, there's somebody did it for us. The Dos Brujos logo did it. Some guy from Holland that wanted to do it because he thought that he could give us a nice logo. Didn't ask us for anything. He did it just because he liked it. And we used it, and we still use the same logo. The other logo with the snake, this we bought this logo we bought. And then these Defenders of the Jam. This was my kind of copy of Judas Priest. Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah. Now I get it. Okay.
There's a few photos that I do, or some friend of mine sent me a picture. I did this picture this weekend. It's like, do you want to use it for the band? It's like, why not? And then I use it too. Mostly we use art we have around. Yeah. Because with
Yeah, I do the same thing with my radio station. I use non-copyrighted pictures, and then I just pluck them from the internet and put my little logo on it. And, you know, advertise to my 5 fans. You know, here's my show, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. But I like the Defenders of the Jam. That's almost like, you could almost say that's the buzzword of the band, right? That's what you do, right? The jam. So one of the things. So I always ask the people I interview a question, and I think I know the answer to what you guys are going to say. And it's interesting to hear what different bands and what Fuzzy said when I interviewed Fuzzy. So, like, you've been at this a while, okay, a couple of years. So, did you ever have that moment where you go, man, we got this rock and roll thing figured out. We know what we're doing, and we got a plan. We're going forward, or it's like, man, we have no idea what we're doing, but it's a good time, you know.
Yeah,
it's a hard question.
Yeah, I would say yes and no, because the plan sort of was not to have a plan. It was from the very get-go, because we were both working on the side, and then obviously Xavi has a family, and he's basically spends his entire free time with this band project of ours. So he produces everything. He does like the album covers, as we just talked about. But my input solely consists of coming here once per week, drinking a couple of beers, chatting, and plugging my guitar in. Apart from, I don't know, practicing obviously at home a little bit as much as I can. But we never aspired really towards it being more than a hobby, if you will. And it just, I don't know, like the feedback we got, and this Bandcamp platform, and then obviously Fuzzy and so on, and then us getting actually some publicity, that was really, I don't know, a surprise to us in a positive way. So I don't know, yeah. But we said from the get-go, we are not gonna exert or put any pressure on us, if you will. We want to keep it fun and fresh. We're not gonna arrange anything. We're just gonna take it as it goes. We're not gonna, also with the live sessions that we like this idea that we floated around a couple of times. We're like, okay, how would it work? Then we would maybe have to have some pre-arranged riffs and so on, and then over top you put a jam, like many other bands did it. For example, last week on Saturday we saw a fantastic band from Munich in Germany called Color Haze, and they are doing the same thing. So they have some pre-arranged songs, if you will, and then they put like extensive jams and solos and so on in between, and that works. But we never knew how our concept would translate to a live session then, because I don't know, we would be nervous obviously the first couple of live shows, and then we would have to, I don't know, maybe we wouldn't be in the flow or in the mood, if you will. Maybe then it would be all kind of messed up. But yes, I don't know.
Yeah, we cannot offer a standard show, but if somebody wants us to play live, I don't think they would expect us to have a standard show. It could work.
That's also true.
It could work. There's a kind of a band, actually it's from Finland. They have 3 bands. There's Pharaoh Overload, Circle, and Falcon. There are 3 bands in one, no? And they just play gigs. In the beginning they used to go and they chose one of the sets. It has nothing to do. One is power metal, the other one is six psychedelic stoner doom, and the other one is strange things. And they just pick one, and that day they just played what they considered. And I read a few interviews. They had a few problems sometimes because the people were going to watch one of the sets, and they found out to have been a power metal concert that they were not expecting. And this, for us, I find it magic, but some people doesn't like this surprise factor. And you never know. It could work. It could not work.
Are you surprised that you know, like I said, you've got this set concept that you guys follow. Are you surprised that it's kind of maybe taken off isn't the right word, but that people have gone, you know what, that's pretty unique what they're doing, and it's actually pretty damn good. Are you surprised that people are the feedback that you're getting like that? You know.
Yeah, I mean,
yes, I am very surprised.
I remember us joking about it when we first got a couple of bucks out of this Bandcamp thing, and then also before even we were signed with Fuzzy and so on, and we were kind of joking about it. Yeah, and now it's bringing in some bucks, and we can actually kind of finance our beer consumption in the band.
That's pretty cool.
We are very high, obviously, and then I don't know. Everything that we get out of it kind of gets reinvested in some microphone or something, and so it's I don't know, like it being this self supplying thing now was a great surprise to us, actually. So
yeah. True, that's the wiki pod, being honest too. Since the day one, we wanted to be that all our music is free. It's still free today, so it's on Name Your Price. And people like that, and we like it too. And so I think it has the option to spread it a bit without the money factor, to this to sell your music as a product. Yeah, this is a thing we always, a few times we talk about it, that we don't really like that. And of course, we want to release a CD and these things, but everything is limited edition, or the beer coasters or T-shirts, right. So everything limited. We cover our investment when we cover our investment, and if not, it's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you've answered that question, that you have figured out the rock and roll thing, at least in for your concept, and which is a pretty cool deal, you know. Some of the bands I've talked to, they're like, man, no, we have no clue what we're doing, you know. We just play and, you know, blunder here and there. And some of the artists are like, yeah, I get it, you know, and I know what I'm doing and stuff like that. And I like what you're talking about on your jams, that, you know, some days some days you're not at your best, right? You know, and stuff like that. So when I'm an engineer by trade. So when I started my radio show here, I was obsessed with being perfect. That you know, and I would make a little mistake here and there, and I'd be like, man, it's terrible. It's terrible. And then finally one day I went, you know, it's community radio. There might be 3 people listening, and of those 3, 2 are relatives. And I need to quit obsessing about making little mistakes and stuff like that, and just go, you know, I'm here to have a good time and to share what I'm into and new music with other people. And at that point, the radio thing became just a lot of fun for me. And it's the same thing with the interviews. I was sitting in my garage listening to music one day. I'm like, man, what would it be like to interview somebody? And so I literally looked through the purchases I had made on Bandcamp, and it's like, oh, contact. So I just started sending off emails, right? And then all of a sudden someone responded, and I'm like, oh, now I actually have to do this. And then I would be so nervous about it. And then it's like, you know, in the end, it's a bunch of folks talking about rock and roll and what, you know, your gig and promoting what you're doing. It's like, man, you know, it's fun to interview bands, because it's not about selling my brand. It's more about having a conversation with people and their music. And I, you know, listening to you guys, you know, so this is the first face-to-face Zoom interview I've done. And I can tell the enthusiasm you guys have for what you do. And that's really cool, you know. So I'll be spreading the word of what you guys do with my friends and stuff like that. I have my clique of, you know, music friends that we share music a lot, and I've been sharing your stuff extensively with them. You know, it's like, hey, man, here. So what else we got to think? So the whole thing with the live music. So part of when I interview people is talk about live music, but basically everything you do is live. So it's like, oh, they don't have to worry about a live record, because every record is a live record, right?
That's true.
So maybe the thing is you sell T-shirts for each live recording, right? You know, this local live, you know, here's our weekly tour or whatever. But that's I think we'll kind of wrap it up. And what a great conversation. You guys are cool. And so the way I do when I interview a band is then I take the interview and I build a radio show around it. So I do a 2-hour show, and our interview here is about 40 minutes. So the rest of the show will basically be your music or bands like you. So because of the rules, I'm only allowed to play, well, because I do an interview, I can play all the music of you that I want. but I can only play 3 Black Sabbath songs. So I'll probably play 3 Black Sabbath songs, and you guys, and then the interview. So that's generally how I do it. I'm not because of the community radio thing. I don't like to do broadcast the live interview. I like to be able to talk and with you guys, and then think about how I build a show to promote your stuff. So, and I think I've got a pretty good idea what to do on that.
Yeah,
so
it's very good.
Yeah, and I will get you a hard copy of the interview as well, and send you some stuff from the station. So,
perfect.
So where's Fuzzy at? Is he still there?
I'm here.
Oh, how you doing?
Hey, I just wanted to say to you guys too, those couple of releases you just did are just totally mind-blowing. That stuff with an Irish Joy is incredible. Fantastic. Yeah, incredible, amazing.
Well, one thing about their music, I never have to worry about the 7 deadly words of George Carlin. so
those are the swear words, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it's community radio. So that's like the one thing you can't have happen, right? So with you guys, it's like, man, that's no worry. It's all instrumental.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
So and the few samples we put, not very often. Yeah, usually are not. They are politically correct in the sense, kind of.
They should be fitting the mood and be somewhat thought provoking. Hopefully, but that's as far as it goes. We don't usually have any profanity in there.
No, it's not the idea to.
Right.
Not really the idea to to put a strain to provoke, and these and political views. We have ours. We keep for ourselves in the band. It's not really a theme, and that's not an issue.
Yeah, there's plenty of bands out there who are flying that flag, running with that. Yeah. So Fuzzy, you have my address to send the interview to, right?
I sure do.
Okay. All righty. So.
All right, guys.
I appreciate. Yeah, Xavier. Thank you very much for your time. And look at us. We figured out how to coordinate it across 9 time zones.
Yeah.
that was pretty good, right? So, all right.
We did it quite good at the end.
Yeah. So I'll be corresponding with you and letting you know when the interview is going to be, which will be in a few weeks here. And I'll keep playing your stuff on the radio, and you guys keep jamming, right?
Yes, that's what we're here for. Also, we're going to stick around for another 2.5 to 3 hours and get a jam out now. So since we're here already,
Okay, all right. You guys take it easy.
Thanks.
Yes, you too. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, bye,
guys. Have a good one.